Okay, we're live. And I gotta tell you guys, it's time. I don't own any paper bags, so we get the plastic bag. Let me see if I can get little eye sockets here, so I can see what's going on. We got it.
Pretty bad.
It's over. It's over. It is week 9, and it's over, which is
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I really don't. They had opportunities. They played poorly at times. They came back. They had a chance to win it. I thought the play calling was suspect, especially running the ball as many times with Chubb on that last drive. Uh, you limit yourself to 2 passing plays for first downs when Chubb runs it for 3 yards or 4 yards. Chubb did not break one other than the little swing pass, and he missed him a couple of times on swing little screen passes that would have gone for big yardage.
yep.
Um, Guys dropped a couple of balls. Baker missed guys wide open. If he had gone to Odell instead of throwing it over the middle at the end, might have been a touchdown. We'd be talking a different story. They can't stop him on the running plays there at the end to give them a minute to go in the game and have one more shot. They can't do that. They let the guy go around the end. How many times did they not protect the edge on the outside? And guys, the quarterback, the running,
this is like, I get flack every time I say this, and I get flack every time I say it on Twitter. I'm just gonna say it. Myles Garrett has got to give us more production. I'm sorry. Getting 1 sack a game, which in a lot of ways, guys, is such a meaningless. They didn't even used to track it as a stat. But they're like, I guess this is important, tackling the quarterback for a loss. Let's start making that a statistic. But if you look at a guy like Aaron Donald, that guy takes over games. You have to, Khalil Mack, Ray Lewis used to do it. You had to scheme around this guy, and even when you did, he still beat you. Myles Garrett doesn't do that. He's easy to scheme around, and then when you do, he's a non-factor.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Well, I can't blame the game on him, but
no, I'm not blaming it on him. I'm just saying it's one of the it's part of the equation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Did Higgins catch a pass?
Nope.
And
I think they threw it at him one time.
Yeah.
We threw it some random tight end at the end of the game.
Right.
We threw it another random guy, Hodge.
Yeah, they threw it a guy that they took off the practice squad on a critical second or third down. Whatever Denver was doing to take away Odell, I mean, he had a good game. I don't know what Odell's stats were. He caught that bobbling catch, and then he showboated with a little, Heisman skip there. That was unnecessary. Not being focused, wearing the clown shoes, the Joker shoes. It should have been wearing brown shoes. You're 6-1, you wear the Joker shoes. You're 2-6 or 2-7, whatever we are. No, you don't do that. You don't put the emphasis on your shoes so that they have to tell you at halftime you can't wear those shoes. And Landry too, whatever Landry was wearing, they told him to change his shoes too. So I mean,
can you imagine a team coached by Schottenheimer, or Belichick, or Andy Reid, or Doug Peterson, or really just any decent coach? I think that is the thing. They don't respect Freddie enough. They don't respect him enough to go, you know what? maybe I shouldn't do these like look at me moment things like with the
Right.
watch and the shoes and stuff. It's so stupid. It's just stupid. It's dumb that they even have to talk about it, right? But you know what?
Baker.
It probably sells a lot of shoes. They probably sell it probably does actually help. Nike loves it because we're
Yeah,
talking
sure.
about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Baker did not have a good game. I don't know what his stats were. He didn't throw an interception, although he came close one or two times.
Yep.
He made some good throws at times, but he missed guys. He, they, what you call the running plays with Chubb.
The fact that we couldn't hit Chubb on a critical screen pass, we couldn't hit
Right,
him.
right.
This is not the Baker Mayfield we had last year. Baker
Yeah, no,
Mayfield we had last year was dangerous. Baker
right.
Mayfield was aggressive. He had confidence. This
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield doesn't have any of it.
four times you're have scoring opportunities and you come away with field goals. I mean, we were lucky we got the one touchdown there at the end. We needed
However,
a couple of plays.
if you look at it, what was the final score of the game?
24 19, I
Broncos,
think. So
Browns.
if we had scored, we would have won the
24-19.
game. Yeah,
Let me tell you this. In that play where we went for it at fourth down,
right.
if we kicked a field goal there, because you've been kicking field goals all game, right? You kick a field goal there, now it's 19, 20, 21, 22, and now we don't have to now all we need to do is kick another field goal to win the game.
Right.
And instead, we forced ourselves into a position that we had to.
Plus, he had to. It wasn't a 1 foot that he had to make. He had to make a good.
It was a full yard.
Full yard.
I mean, it was even like a yard and a half.
Give it to Baker, who
because they had a bad spot from the previous one.
Yeah, I think again, at the end of the game, you got one timeout left, and we're not ready to run a play. On fourth down or third down, whatever it was, and we had to burn a timeout.
Yep.
Which then, if we don't get it, then we have the 2-minute warning and a timeout to stop the clock. Plus, we burned one on the on the challenge, which we lost, and that was suspect too. After looking at it, I mean, he may give it to him and may not. But it's got to be conclusive for them to overturn it.
Freddie Kitchens needs to go back to the George Costanza rule. Which remember the George Costanza rule? If he thinks that he should do it, he should do the opposite thing, and then it all worked out. He got the job at the Yankees and all this stuff for telling Steinbrenner to piss off or whatever. That's what Freddie Kitchens needs to make his decision. What do I think we should do in this moment? And then just go the opposite way. It's like if he's lost driving. If Freddie Kitchens is on the road and he needs to go somewhere, he doesn't have GPS, doesn't have a phone, doesn't whatever, and he needs to get from A to B. All he needs to say to himself is, do I think we should go right? Then go left, and you'll get there.
Yeah, Freddie. I mean, it's just he's trying, but I think there's a lot of pressure on him towards the end of the games. The game plan was okay, but Baker couldn't execute it early on. 3 and out. They come out after halftime, 3 and out. It's not like they got 2 first downs and then had to punt it. They were 3 and out. I mean, it's just momentum. They just couldn't get any momentum. They almost sacked the quarterback on third down, deep in Denver's territory, and the guy accidentally hits him in the face as he's tackling him, and they throw a 15-yard penalty.
And rightfully so. It is a penalty.
Right.
I mean, that's a penalty. And this is you sit there and you watch it. We've watched games all year, and every play, like the Jarvis Landry touched, every play, I'm like, where's the flag? I'm just holding my breath, waiting.
Absolutely. And it was a long time coming too. The play was over. Everybody was walking back to the huddle, and then they say, "Oh, there's a flag," and I screamed. I couldn't believe it. And you knew what was coming. It was going to be something on the Browns having to do with
Well, and the interesting thing was there were a couple plays against the Broncos this game that were kept the Browns alive too. They had that one drive where the Browns had 2 negative plays in a row. The second one was the lateral pass that got broken up. So it would have been 3rd and like 15 or 3rd and 16. There's a personal foul.
Right.
So we got lucky on that. And this is
Yeah.
one of those games, but like it still doesn't matter because we still have plays where it would. And you know what? I was telling Lindsay, I was telling my wife. You know, the funny thing about it is, like, of all the bad breaks that we got, even the play where the ball pops up in the air and all Myles Garrett has to do is catch the ball.
Right.
He drops it
Right.
on what would have been like the 15 or 20-yard line, and
Thank
then
God.
it wouldn't have mattered anyway because
Right.
Denzel Ward had a hold.
Right.
That is what's going on. And I got to tell you, I mean, it's so sad. This season is officially over. It doesn't matter what, like, unless we run the table and go 10-6, because 9-7 ain't gonna happen. 9-7 is we're not getting in. So it's got to go 10-6, and we got to win every game. I mean, I guess technically it's not over, but
you can't win against a rookie quarterback. You let him get out on the edge on a 3rd down. You let him make a twice.
He played great. If you took somebody who had never watched a game,
right,
didn't know one quarterback from the other, and
right.
you said which one of these quarterbacks set the rookie touchdown passing record, and which one of these quarterbacks is it the first time he ever threw the ball in the NFL? And I bet you that person, unless they were blind, would have picked the Broncos quarterback as the experienced guy.
Right. And why?
This is not the same Baker Mayfield that we knew last year.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's happening. Oh yeah.
I don't know either. I think
Confidence
he's trying to
gone.
too much indecision, trying to get through the reads as to who to give it to. And when he doesn't go Landry and he doesn't go Odell, then he's throwing to a 3rd string guy that they put up from the practice squad, filling into somebody. They're taking their 2 best players away from him, and they're forcing Baker to go to the 3rd guy. He makes a play or he doesn't make a play, but when you don't get it in the hands, at least he got Landry involved in the second half. I think he had 0 catches in the first half.
Yeah, I think 1. I started him on my fantasy team this week, because I had to, because I had Michael Thomas is on a bye, and James Conner was out today, so I had a spot. I had to throw in Jarvis, and he was getting me like 4 points.
Yeah,
until he got that touchdown. It's one of the things that, you know, even some of the Cleveland media was putting. I'll hand it to the Cleveland media here. There's a lot of guys out there that were paying multi-million-dollar contracts that just aren't doing enough.
Right.
I mean,
Chubb was trying, but he just couldn't.
Chubb is just not giving
up. And he made a couple of nice plays where we needed a first down, and he looked like he was going to be tackled and whatnot. But when you have him on the bench on the 3rd down, or even on the 4th down, when you can't even use him as a threat. I mean, he may be tired, but every time Baker faked him the ball when he was throwing the pass, it froze the linebackers, and Baker and the linemen, and he had plenty of time to throw it.
You know what I watched? I watched some of the Texans game, the Texans versus the Jags. Right. And you know what the Texans do really well with Deshaun Watson? They'll fake dives up the middle, and then they'll roll their little tight end out, Darren Fells, and they just dump him the ball, and they get 3 yards. That play does not exist in our playbook. We do not have plays like that are in our playbook to dump the ball. The only dump offs we have are to running backs. We don't have tight ends. Getting rid of Darren Fells, getting rid of Seth DeValve, and if Ricky Seals is out because of his knee, we're down to like Harris and like Farrell. Like, we're down to nothing. We're down to Harris and Brown, and losing. I never thought losing David Njoku would be this much of a problem. Right. But I got to tell you that
when Baker doesn't play well, like any quarterback. I watched the Jets-Dolphins game towards the end, the second half, because all of a sudden the Dolphins are winning.
Yeah.
And Fitzpatrick is making plays, throwing passes, keeping him in the game, got him the lead. Darnell was still shaky from the week before. They they had him. Yeah,
Darnold.
Denard. They had him down on the 5 yard line a couple of times late in the game when they had to make a comeback. And at one point, he wasn't ready for the snap. He gave the signal. The guard tapped the center. He hiked it, and it whizzed by him and into the end zone. And then he stood there at maybe a yard or two in the end zone and looked at it like I hope it bounces out of bounds. And it stopped. And the and the Dolphins guys were so anxious they couldn't grab it, and they kicked it out for a safety. It should have been a touchdown, game over right there, but they gave him a safety. And then he got into it with his center on the way off the field saying, what happened? And he said, well, you told me to snap the ball and I snapped the ball. I mean, they've taken over as the worst, other than Cincinnati, they've taken over as the worst team in the league. I'm surprised if that guy, the coach, survives. He's got a lot of picks next year, so he can improve his team. But they played horrible in that last quarter, and I don't know what they played, up to that because I wasn't watching.
Going back to the Browns, I think the difference between the Browns, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bengals is we had expectations, and I tweeted out the drive
and talent.
The
expectations were built on the talent and the prior year, and all the changes and all the upgrades and everything. So it was legitimate, maybe a little bit overhyped, but still, it was legitimate. We played a tough schedule. We played some tough games. Even this game was tough. If it had been Joe Flacco, okay, they beat us. No problem. Experienced score. But a guy who's never played in the NFL.
And you know what? Credit to him though. He played great.
Yeah.
He played great. That touchdown pass that he threw was great. The other touchdown pass to Noah Fant that he just broke 3 tackles for the. That's it. I mean, you take away that play, we win the game.
Right.
And so our defense let us down, and our offense let us down. Special teams did their job. Special teams was fine.
One penalty.
Other than Siebert almost shanking an extra point, still got it.
Yeah, got it.
Which is all that matters in the stat line. I mean, you got it.
Field goals. I would have been feeling pretty good if he had to kick a field goal to win the game.
Yeah, me too.
I just the play calling you have to have a sense of urgency, and they on that last drive, running the ball with Chubb on first down for 3 yards puts you in a difficult. Now they came back and they got a penalty. They got this. They got that. They got it down to where they had a chance to win the game, and Baker couldn't make the plays. He threw that tight one, on fourth down over the middle. Denver played a great game in terms of.
They're actually one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, I know. I heard it.
So as bad as their team is, their team was bad because Flacco couldn't move them on offense. Put Joe Flacco back there, we might have won that game because he didn't have the mobility, that the other guy had.
And they had the coverage. They just couldn't contain the kid. The kid went to the outside 2 times, and he made plays that were critical to keep drives alive, including the first touchdown one, where they should have stopped him. It should have been 0-0. Now, granted, it took us a while to get our act together, but finally Baker started to get his act together, and then we get down to the 15-yard line. And we can't get it in from there. The play calling, the execution, the mistakes.
You see the other teams. You watch the other games, and okay, if you have to kick 1 field goal, maybe 2 field goals when you're in the red zone like that, but it's like the second we get into the red zone, it is a different team. We go into full blown panic. We have to burn timeouts. The play calling is apparent. The the execution isn't there. We're not throwing to Odell Beckham. We're not throwing to Landry. We're throwing to everybody else. They're not catching it. We throw to a tight end. The tight end catches the ball in the end zone and jumps out of bounds by 2 freaking yards.
Yeah, no dragging
Come
the foot.
on.
Yeah, you have to know that, hey, I'm going to catch it and my momentum's going to carry me out. No, I catch it and I leave my feet behind. I stretch out.
He just gave up. He was just like, you know what? I'm gonna land out of bounds. But like, how are you a NFL tight end, an NFL player? In college, you get 1 foot down, right? I mean, it didn't even get 1. It wasn't,
Right.
and it wasn't. If they showed it several times, they didn't even try to get 1 foot down.
Wasn't close.
That's the thing. It's like your quarterback puts the ball in your. Now, was it a little bit high? Yeah. Did you have to actually leave your feet? I don't know, but he did. And then if you're gonna, you better sure as hell make sure you get your feet down.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the catches Odell made and Landry made were outstanding. So, I mean,
Yeah, Landry made a couple nice
they may not
snags.
Make every play. They may not catch everything, but even at the end, had he thrown that one up to Odell when they showed him, having a step on the guy, I don't know, maybe 50% of the time, maybe more than 50% of the time on a jump ball with Odell Beckham, you're going to win. Now, granted, as you pointed out to me in a text, that was the game. Now, you try to get the 4 yards and get the first down and keep the drive alive, or do you throw the touchdown to the end zone? The old Baker last year would have thrown it to the end zone. This Baker is, he just, not so much the confidence. He has a lot of confidence. It's just that the execution, he overthrew guys several times in the first half. I thought maybe it was light air, and therefore, he was putting too much zip on it, and just wasn't used to that altitude or whatever. But he came back and he played, pretty well. A lot of, drives where, he made some key plays and whatnot. But I mean, to let that rookie quarterback beat us was sad. And they gave up big play, a running play up the middle for 41 yards. Schobert is caught on the right side. They go on the left side, and there's nobody in the middle. And he just they're lucky he didn't run for a touchdown on that play. Yeah.
Our defense, I think the thing that pisses me off the most about this is Steve Wilkes. Dude, if I'm sitting here, a fan who used to play Madden back in the day and watches a decent amount of football, I can tell you my game plan against any rookie or new or whatever, it's a quarterback that's signed off the street a couple weeks ago.
With no snaps.
No snaps, never threw a pass in the NFL. I am pressuring that guy every play. Right. And they did it to Baker. They made Baker Mayfield look like a guy who just got picked up off the street. Not Heisman Trophy winning, record-setting Baker Mayfield. They made him look like guy off the street Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't know. But how you don't put constant, consistent pressure on a new quarterback. Everybody's saying fire Freddie. Fire Freddie. Fire Freddie. Dude, Steve Wilkes, you suck, dude. You are terrible. There's a reason why you're not a head coach. To have this much talent on defense, to have one of the most athletic linebackers in Mack Wilson, you let him run up the middle one time.
Right.
Joe Schobert, you have smart, intelligent athletes out there. You got Myles Garrett, who had the greatest measurables in the history of the NFL out of the combine, and you don't put pressure on the quarterback. You suck, Steve. You're terrible. So if everybody's going to call for Freddie to be fired, and to be honest, Dad, I don't know how you feel about this at this point. And I'm not going to say I will tell everybody in chat. We got 147 people watching. We got a whole bunch of people in chat. A lot of people are talking about fire Freddie. Right. I got to tell you right now, guys, there is zero chance that Freddie Kitchens is fired midseason.
Right.
Zero. They will give Freddie Kitchens the entire season, and then go back and look at it and go, do we think this guy can do it? Do we think he can? At this point, no way he gets brought back. No way. Sucks. I like Freddie Kitchens a lot. I'm rooting for him as a human. But if you think about the reality of this, there's no way John Dorsey or Haslam fires a coach mid-season, the guy that they had the offseason to select whomever they want. They could have recruited whoever they wanted. There's no way they do that and blow it up because then you're blaming it not on the players, you're blaming it on the coach mid-season. You're not going to blow it up mid-season. It ain't going to happen. At the end of the season, the whole fire Freddie thing, that's fine. So, by the way, I work for a social media company, right? I'm a social media analytics company, essentially. It's my actual job that pays the money for, like, microphones and internet and everything. So I did some searches on the Fire Freddy hashtag, and it's ticking upward, as you can imagine, right? I mean, of course it would, but it is gonna get to the point where I don't know if he's lost the locker room at this point, but when you see Odell Beckham complaining on the sidelines, like. What does it take? Give me the ball. Yeah. Hey, Odell, did you forget about all the drops you had this year, buddy?
5 seconds to call a play, and you in a critical part of the game, and you can't get the play in and call it and get the people in position, and you have to burn your last time out on a critical drive. That is on the coaching. That's not on the players. That's on the coaching staff. And I blame Freddie for that. If he's trying to figure out what play to call,
it sucks.
He's trying to head coach. He's trying to do this and trying to do that.
Too much for him.
Yeah, it's too much. It's really too much. Maybe for an experience like was it Sean Payton of New Orleans? Maybe he calls them. Maybe some other guys, but they're experienced, really experienced guys at doing it, and they don't get. Not that Freddie gets rattled. But still, I mean, that to me, when I saw him burn that timeout, I said, oh my God, that just puts extra pressure. We have no way to stop the clock except the 2-minute warning. And even that was a disaster.
Oh, no, I mean, it was, I tweeted out this one drive might be the entire season. And it was going to show us what we were made of. It was going to show us what we had. And here's the fact, guys, and this is a really tough fact, but it doesn't matter. All this talent that we have on the team, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. We are not good. It's not that we're not very good or we're not sort of good. We are not good. We are exactly what our record is. We are 2-6.
Right.
And that's it. That means the best we can do is 10-6.
And no momentum going into the Buffalo game. I mean, it's hang your head, feel sorry for yourself for a couple of days, try to get yourself out of bed and focused and up for the Bills for a home game, of which we have no wins in that column this year.
No wins at home at all. Like, we play better on the road than we do in our own stadium. Ben Roethlisberger still has more wins in our stadium than any other quarterback.
Right.
It's sad. It is like, I mean, this is the first time I think in my, maybe there was one time, one or two seasons of Virginia Tech that I thought we had what it took back when, I'm thinking probably 2009, 2010 Virginia Tech, where I was like, this is our season. We have a chance to win the national championship. We have enough talent. And this year with the Browns was it. We have the talent on the field at every position, and yet we beat ourselves with penalties. We beat ourselves with turnovers. We beat ourselves with clock management. We beat ourselves with play calling. We beat ourselves with poor execution. If there was a point where the CBS guys were talking, they were like, we lead the league in basically every negative category.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but if you lead the league in like worst red zone offense, most penalties, I mean, you can't win games like our quarterback is tied for the league in most interceptions. Our plus minus on turnovers is apparent. Our the amount of points that we've given up is more than the points we scored. It's bad, and I know we're a young team, but I gotta tell you, like, we might have too many high profile guys on one team.
Well, for Freddie to manage and keep focused and whatnot, a more experienced coach would not have let him go out there with those with those stupid shoes on. And he's showing off in practice, in warm ups, catching one handed and whatnot. And yeah, they're lob passes and great. He can catch with one hand and whatnot. And Odell, he did make some some great catches. Throw it up there and you got a 50-50 chance of one either getting it or getting a flag because the guy held him or got there too early or whatever. So maybe you got a 75% chance if it's a decent throw and it's in the neighborhood. But to guys like Harris, Brown, and Jones and so forth, it's less than 50-50. But Denver played great on certain plays where they had their hand in front of the guy. The pass was there. The catch was ready to be made for a touchdown or whatever, or a first down. And the guy, including the last play of the game, that fourth and 4, the guy
two guys were on Jarvis.
Yeah,
he threw it in double coverage when he had a potentially with a very, very nice professional pass, might have been able to hit Odell. But if he misses, if the guy makes a play, whatever, Odell drops it, then the argument is you only needed to get 4 yards. You only need to get a couple yards, and you try to hit the home run on that. Right. So I don't disagree with where it was going on that particular play. I disagree with like the plays before that.
Right, absolutely.
And that's what it all comes down to. We had all the time in the world. The clock wasn't against us. We were almost treating it like we didn't have the clock on our side. So the clock was fine. Right. Ignore that. Play your game. And if you have an offensive coordinator who's sitting up in the booth, who's sitting there with a headset on, with a computer in front of him, or whatever they allow him to do, if he can be up there calling the plays down in a very controlled environment, you're gonna get better. It's gonna be better. I do not see Freddie Kitchens surviving this season. I mean, make it to the next season. I think John Dorsey, for all the talent that he's acquired, it's amazing to me that it really does come down. A lot of it comes down to coaching, because
I mean the defense at the end, we have to stop them, my thing just died over here, but you have to stop them, and we still got 2 corners and the safety 20 yards off the ball in the middle of the field with the other corners, guarding the guys, at the line of scrimmage, and yet they're going to run the ball in that last series. They're going to run it 3 times, and then punt the ball if they have to, and it's amazing that you don't put 8 men in the box and make sure that.
Well, at the end they did. They had like 8 men in the box, and they ran that wildcat play, and they just
nobody covered the edge.
Misdirection. They ran everybody to the right, and the guy takes off to the left.
Right.
And it's like, guys,
your job is to maintain the edge. It's not to tackle the guy.
I'm sitting there watching 8-year-olds play flag football this morning, and they had better containment than professional football players. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what happens when they put on that orange helmet that turns their little brains off, because it doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't seem to be fair. You're playing your volume through there.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting my phone on because
guys, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I think. And I gotta tell you, if Odell starts to become a cancer, if he starts to do the whole throw. I know he's saying all the right things in the in the off weeks. Like I'm the
Right.
first person. I'll always back Baker up. Blah blah blah. I got to tell you, if he starts doing that kind of stuff, dude, Odell. I mean, I hate to tell you, but like you haven't done enough this year. Like your production, one-hand catches, that's great. You had one long touchdown against the Jets an eon ago. Let's start seeing some actual. Let's start seeing you get in the end zone, and then you can start yapping. But until then, stop dropping the ball and start getting in the end zone. Then I'll be happy. Until then, I really don't care what you do, dude. You're just another wide receiver out there, and you're a distraction.
And Baker's got to play better. You can't win with that inconsistency. It's hard to take and hard to watch week and week. I mean, we're close in a lot of these games, but we just lost to a team that we should have. That was the first one that we really, other than the Titans, the first game that we were counting in the win column before the game started, and rightfully so. And yet we let them get 2 touchdowns on us, and we kicked four field goals. I mean, and then as you said, we go for it on 4th down. We don't give Chubb the ball. At least you can say if you gave Chubb the ball and not up the middle, but give him a chance to cut back.
You know what?
Whatever.
You know how he scored again the biggest runs in Browns history with throwing him sweeps.
Right.
And you know what we don't do? We don't throw him any more sweeps.
Right.
It's like when we have plays that work, we never do it again.
I guess.
The New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, the New Orleans Saints, the best teams out there, they have plays that work, and they make slight variations, and they use them again because they work.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
If there was a couple of times and critical in some of those plays, maybe even at the end, where if he had Chubb coming across and fake it to him, and then he just takes the ball and goes the other way, like the rookie quarterback did to us a couple of times.
Yeah.
If Baker did that, on the last one he could have walked in the end zone. Everybody went to the left. He gave it to Chubb, and they just stuffed him on the left-hand side. And sometimes he gets through it. He miraculously made it through the line a couple of times to keep first downs alive, and they were great. Even my wife, who's not a football fan by any stretch, she's saying Chubb is a really good player. I like him. He is,
and he doesn't quit. He didn't quit on the team.
No,
he was trying. Our offensive line. If you watch that play that got stuffed, that made us the last play with it, the safety came in.
Right.
Our right tackle just blocked in. Didn't even. It's like his eyes didn't look that way at all.
Right.
Again, you're a professional offensive lineman.
Right. You got to look and say, who's
where
going to block?
Could it come from?
Where is that guy? And he's close to the line of scrimmage. If he comes after the snap, he makes his first step towards me, I'm going to take him out. And yet he didn't, and he let him come all the way around, run down the line of scrimmage, and he tackles Chubb.
Your defense, the defensive end on that side was blocked by the tackle. He blocked down, or he came down in, and I'm sorry, let me reset. The defensive end on the left side for Denver, which would be our right side, was tackled by our right guard. So our right tackle sat there and made the decision.
Did nothing.
Made the decision before the play to ignore any other possibility and go, I am blocking down.
Right.
I'm blocking into this defensive end. And guess what? The play was going left anyway, so you're essentially blocking towards where you're going.
Right.
And then you let the guy go right past you. So, and when we talk about when the media people and when everybody starts making excuses for this offensive line, well, they're actually not penalized all that much. Well, they actually give Baker Mayfield a decent amount of time. It's everything. It's not just those two things.
Right.
It's when they get penalized. It is the situations that they're getting penalized in. It is the fundamental. It's getting in people's way. I mean, if they're stopping blocking, push.
The defense missing that guy on the short dink pass that that Allen threw, and he goes, what, I don't know, 80 yards,
Something like that, yeah.
65 yards. 5 guys had a shot at him. 5 guys. Now, granted, there weren't our first stringers, but still, you got to put the guy on the ground. You can't give him a touchdown like that. The fact that we didn't make that quarterback really, really have to play hard, although he did make some really, really good plays on us. I give him credit. He deserved the win. We deserved the loss, and it was a team effort, except for a couple of guys who played well for us. But a couple of guys is not going to cut it. You need 53 guys, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and,
You know
and your
what?
special team.
And here's the reality is, right now, today, we have a top 5 pick in next year's draft. Top 5 pick.
Yeah,
I never would have thought. I thought we're going to be in the deep 20s when we draft, which is actually, I mean, if you really think about it, and I kind of thought about this a couple games ago, that I think Dorsey and these guys are looking at this. This is the long game. It is not a short game.
Right.
We're not playing for this season. This
to win
is
the
it.
Super Bowl,
Yeah,
not to win
no.
the Super Bowl, no.
It's like we know the reality of it, and we're going to draw this thing out, right? I think our window is still open, but it's going to be open for the next 3 years. So this year, next year, and the year after, that's the window, because that's when, like, the guys, because you're going to have to pay Myles Garrett, you're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield, you're going to have to pay Nick Chubb, right? So those are your 3 guys that absolutely, and then when those guys get paid, it brings down everything else. And those are the critical roles: quarterback, running back, defensive end.
Right, and everybody will be 3 years older, so we won't be the younger team out on the field with the strength and the stamina and so forth.
But they will be more. They'll be more in their experienced prime.
Hopefully.
I like guys at 26, 27, 28 than I do
we'll
21, 22, 23.
Right.
And that's where we're going with this. So, that being said, if we happen to have a top 5 pick this year, guess what? Because the Bengals are taking a quarterback. The Dolphins are taking a quarterback. The Jets won't. I'm trying to think who else is as bad as we are at this point. But if you think about it, there's teams are taking quarterbacks, which is going to give us the opportunity to maybe get that. I think Auburn has the left tackle that's like the best offensive tackle in college football. It's some giant beast of a guy. But you know what? It's more than just left tackle. I mean, Greg Robinson's terrible, but it's more than just that. It's, Weber is terrible too.
I don't think I didn't watch Robinson today, but I don't think, other than the one sack that he gave up, but that was after Baker had time, double clutched, started to run, and
he had a guy wide open crossing in the front of him. He tried to hit the home run instead, and when he double clutched the home run, he could have just still dumped it, and he didn't. And by that, then he got sacked. And I don't necessarily put that on Greg Robinson, because he gave him enough time to make a decision to throw. Your job as an offensive lineman isn't give him enough time to make 5 decisions to throw.
Yeah, and you can't keep blocking him. You're going to hold him eventually. And there were a couple of holes that they didn't call that I thought were evident.
2 face masks that I saw on Nick Chubb that weren't.
Yeah, right. I saw that too. 2, yeah. The one was clear. I don't know about the other one, but yeah, they don't call it. They just, and yet those stupid refs, when they're kneeling down at the end of the first half, they'll throw a flag, knowing that they're kneeling down. The formation is already set. They're kneeling down with 5 seconds, 7 seconds to go. And the refs will throw a flag because the Browns have 12 men on the field.
Right, which is, I mean, you that's an automatic flag you got to throw.
I guess, but still, you just ignore it. You use a little discretion and say you don't. And if for some reason the kid faked the kneel and went back and threw, you can always throw the flag for somebody having 12 men on the field. I mean, you don't have to throw it immediately. Just use a little discretion. And turns out he went back and they knocked him down anyway on the second one. I'm surprised he didn't kneel on the second one, but
Yeah.
I
don't know if Myles Garrett actually got a sack for that, or if he gave himself up, and so they didn't give him a sack for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
but I'm getting a little tired. I'm getting tired of people talking about sacks. Give two craps about that. Honestly, if you're gonna talk about stats only matter if you're winning. Stats don't matter at all if you're losing games. I could care less if anybody is the MVP of a 2-6 team, right? Because you get statistically nice games. Who gives a crap? I'm here for wins and losses.
And how many of those come after the game's already been decided? So it's a garbage sack, or it's a garbage interception, or it's a garbage fumble recovery. It just,
you can celebrate stats if you win games. If you don't win games, then stats don't matter at all. So people talking about, Joe Schobert's got the fourth most tackles in the league. Yeah, but how many missed tackles does he have? Mm-hmm. How many guys just bounce right off him?
Or been out of position, like on that 41-yard drive.
Yeah, being out of position. Whitehead, who just greased himself up and decided, I'm not going to tackle anybody today. I'm not going to even try to tackle anyone. I'm just going to try to run into him with my shoulder and pray that was enough. And Noah Fant just laughed at him. It was like he got hit by a strong gust of wind.
And I have to go back and look at it tomorrow. But on that play, it was apparent that the linebacker who he had gotten past, and he was engaged, by one or two of the Browns. The linebacker sort of eased up. And he figured, okay, they got him. And when he bounced off the tackle, the linebacker then had to reinitiate his momentum at a higher level.
Yeah.
And he could never get to him. If he had gone full speed the whole time, when those guys bounced off, he would have been one step away from making making that play.
Can you see a New England Patriots team do that?
Right.
You just don't. And that I think is the difference between a good team and a bad team. You can have all the talent in the world. Talent doesn't win football games. The New England Patriots had won Super Bowls with significantly less talent than we have on our team. Mm-hmm. Significantly. But they all played really smart, and they played consistent, and they played well. We just don't do that. And unfortunately, I mean, it's tough to see. It's tough because you look back to Belichick's first couple years of the Browns, his 6-10, 7-9 seasons, and we were all pissed at Belichick at that point too because we were waiting for the production, and then we had the one good 11-5 when we went to the playoffs when we beat Parcells and his Patriots in the playoffs. I think in '94 with Testaverde. That's where we were turning it around. We were turning it around, and he was becoming Bill Belichick. And then they moved the team.
And fired Belichick. He didn't even bring him to Baltimore.
But they did. It was after they moved to Baltimore that they fired him. So it was not the Cleveland Browns who fired him. It was the Baltimore Ravens who fired him, which is something that the media loves to bring up. Well, the Browns are the team that fired Bill Belichick. We didn't have a team. All right, what is Belichick going to do? Wait till 99 till maybe he comes back?
Why he decided to do that was beyond me. Not that anybody had a forecast that Belichick would turn out to be one of the greatest coaches ever, but
why did Modell do it?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
If I had a guess, it was probably because of the attitude or the way that 95 season went down. Maybe he just didn't. They didn't, rub. They weren't seeing eye to eye, but I don't know. I'm kind of numb. I wasn't yelling at my TV as much today. I was just kind of looking at it like, yeah.
Scott Dempsey on chat says, Greg Williams looks pretty good now. I mean, he's not doing real good with the Jets.
Well, he's not doing that well with the Jets.
But
They just lost to Miami.
But he has no talent, so he's he's lost a lot of talent. But it would be interesting if you could replay the season and leave Freddie as the offensive coordinator and put Greg Williams in there and see if we would have done better. I don't know. It would be, you can't do that. You can't, 2020 hindsight.
I don't think Greg
criticizing.
Williams, I don't think he was that great a head coach either.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
so
I think
he won games. He won games. He got the most out of the talent that was there last year, including Baker. And you upgrade the talent and you give him another shot. I thought he earned a shot based on the turnaround that happened from an 0-16 season and off to a shaky start. You put in Baker, and all of a sudden, you could beat anybody you're up against, and they did, and they had a chance of going 8-7-1 if they won that last game, which they were in for quite a bit of it. I thought he deserved a shot for one season, and if they had the season that we're having now with those guys,
and you know what the thing is,
you go look for somebody else
with Freddie. If they would have interviewed Greg Williams and interviewed Freddie and interviewed a couple other guys, but very quickly, and said, you know what, guys, we're happy with how things ended. We're happy with the trajectory of the team, and we're gonna give Greg another season. We're gonna give him his own season. Freddie's gonna stay as offensive coordinator, which a lot of people in chat, and including myself, if they would have said we're gonna keep Freddie, we're gonna keep,
I would have been fine with
Greg
that.
Williams. And we would have had, whatever, maybe Greg Williams' son or somebody else actually be the defensive coordinator, but Greg would essentially be de facto defensive coordinator and head coach with Freddie calling plays. I don't think anybody would have been, screaming at the sky. Right. We would have been like, really? There's nothing else out there? But whatever. That's just how it went down. They gave it to Freddie, which I really like Freddie Kitchens as a person. I think he's a great human being, and I guess I am having a hard time internalizing this because I'm a fan of Freddie as a person so much that it hurts me to turn on him as a head coach. I don't want to be a fire Freddie guy. I don't want to, but it's really hard. It's making it really hard on me. Fred,
well,
I mean,
like you said, they're not going to fire him mid-season. Dorsey, I don't know if there's anybody out there that's a sure thing. You let the season play out. You let the anti-Freddie stuff build up if you need to by losing a couple more games that we should win, and therefore no one in the world is going to blink when Freddie gets axed, and even Freddie would say, hey. I didn't perform.
I didn't
Same thing with you, Jackson. I didn't perform. We didn't win any games. How can you keep, endorsing me and my style of I'm calling the plays and so forth? I could see going to an offensive coordinator if the guy who is the offensive coordinator is any good, and Freddie lets him call the plays, and Freddie just manages the game and stays above the fray like 90% of the coaches that are out there now.
I think Freddie made his bed.
He won't do it. Yeah,
he made his bed, and he's like, I'm calling plays to take over first-year head coach and take that much responsibility on yourself.
Right.
It's a lot, and
that I blame on Dorsey. Dorsey is the general manager. If he sees what we see and every other fan out there sees and all the commentators and all the experts, he's got to decide. He calls Freddie in and says, Freddie, we got to make a change. And you're not being fired. You're just going to be the head coach, and he's going to call the plays. And let's see if it works for a week or two. If it doesn't, then okay, no harm, no foul. We're not going anywhere with you calling the plays per se. But we need you to be more focused on the end of the game. I think with an offensive coordinator, we wouldn't have had to burn that time out at the end. Yeah. There was something that was not right.
Freddie's going to his sheet.
Right.
He's looking at the sheet. I mean, if you think about what Freddie is doing as head coach and offense. You have an offensive coordinator. You have a guy who you hired to
Right.
be your offensive coordinator, or Dorsey did, right?
Right.
And he's it's not like he's a like first year guy. He's an experienced guy that you brought in because you like what he's done, or Dorsey brought in.
Right. Right.
Essentially what Freddie's doing is he's micromanaging elements, and it's allowing the suffer. It's at the loss of the macro elements of the game.
Right.
And your job as Belichick might be calling defensive schemes. He may be doing, maybe he gives away a little bit of it, but I think in crunch time, Belichick's the one who's making the calls. But
Well,
he's
yeah.
certainly not calling the offensive plays.
Yeah, but you don't see him chatting it up on the sidelines, talking to his headphones. So he's not, and you don't see him with a plate that he's got a pen and a piece of paper that after something wrong goes badly, penalty, offsides, running out of time, delay a game, or he's making notes. Now, is that for halftime speech? Is that, you got the tape. Why do you have to write down, something? But that's his style. But I don't see him chatting it up, saying, with his play calling over his mouth, saying, to somebody over the headphones, Z28, F, Y out or whatever. I mean, or number 40, calling number 44, and Baker's got to open up his wristband because he doesn't know what to call on 44. He's got to look at 44. Get it down to a more basic element. Get back to the 3 steps drops until they take it away from you. And when they take it away from you, then you throw the bomb and you scare the pants out of them with Landry and Odell. Callaway had a decent game too.
He
finally got the
look
him.
at it. They attacked Denzel Ward. They attacked him hard and capitalized on it. And we had other plays. That other bomb that went. Denzel Ward was beat, and he nudged him a little and fell.
Right.
But if he didn't nudge him a little bit, he catches. He's on the ball.
He's off to the races.
Where's our safeties? Where is the help over on top? Why do we never have plays like that? It doesn't exist anymore. It's either not in our playbook or we're trying to play too conservative. I think what Freddie's trying to do is trying to keep everybody happy. He's trying to get the ball to Odell, get the ball to Jarvis, get the ball, and yet the thing that's working is running the ball with Chubb. And then we run the ball with Chubb, and then we, on critical plays like 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 1, we have Hilliard in, who nobody in this league is afraid of.
Right,
Nobody's afraid of Hilliard.
He made some nice plays, but we get Hunt for Buffalo. So then if you take Chubb out, you put Hunt in, and vice versa. So you got a double threat there that
It's
maybe
just another star that you got to feed, though.
Well,
that's the thing.
But running backs are a little bit different in that they get gassed so much that you can't keep pounding it with Chubb. Even though he looked pretty good at the end. He didn't look like he was winded.
I think Kareem Hunt is also a restricted free agent, meaning that we have the right to sign him. Like, we have the ability to sign. Like, he's not a free agent where he can go out. We have to just basically renegotiate his contract if we want to keep him. So we keep Kareem Hunt, okay, and Nick Chubb, which puts us in a much different position next year than it is this year. First 8 games of the season so far were almost as bad as you could have. Okay? So, but if we're let's try to shift.
One good game. The Baltimore game that I was at was the only game.
We got one good football game so far.
And that hinged on Chubb running 88 yards in a critical situation that sort of gave us a chance to, sort of coast a little bit and put the game away. But that could have, if he gets stuffed there and we punt it to the 40-yard line or 50-yard line, and the Ravens come down and stuff it down our throats, we lose that game too. So, we played one decent game.
Won 4 quarters of football.
Right. And the others, you're right. We did not and have not played 4 quarters of football. And the one thing I was, hoping against hope was that we got behind and we gave up big plays. And sure enough, we got behind and we gave up big plays, and then we answered them with field goals. And like you said to me, you can't win games with field goals except in the last 2 seconds of the game. So giving up those 4 points every time that we did, or at least not being 50-50, we just put ourselves
You
in a
know what
position
the
where it
thing
was
is, like,
difficult to win.
if you're going to go for it on fourth down and 4th and 1,
Mm-hmm. Give it
you
to your best
you
player.
better have a play. Either
Yeah.
give it to your best player, or you better have a play. And every defense that's out there, the first thing they're going to protect against is the shortest distance from the snap to the first down marker is right up the middle. They're all defending that. So
Right.
God
And
forbid,
I
God
thought he made.
forbid they fake, they do play action, roll out and dump it to a curling wide receiver or a tight end that breaks off into the flat. God forbid they do that, because you never know that not only if you sell the play action, it not only is a first down, but it also could potentially be a touchdown. And you know what? Touchdowns, they count for 2 field goals, right?
We're winning 28-14 if we score on those 4 field goals.
We are not. We have reverted back. Do you remember in 2007 when we just scored touchdowns? We scored touchdowns in 2007. Last
Right.
year in 2018, we scored
Wow.
touchdown. I remember sitting there like, "Oh my God, look at us! Look at us go! We're in the end zone.
Yeah.
These are amazing." We have
Baker
now
got
reverted
one.
back
Yeah.
to.
Baker got one last week, and he got one today. And then
It's not
other
enough.
than not enough, right? Not enough. And um, I don't know who's going to show up next week against the Bills.
I
The
would
Bills.
hate to be a Browns season ticket holder and be so excited about this season, and then have to watch them lose and lose and lose. I mean, and to me, obviously, you and I are not only big fans of the Browns, lifetime fans. A lot of our identity is built around our friends and family know that we're Browns fans. We are very well invested in the Browns organization,
Right.
but we don't live in Cleveland, so we aren't actually physically giving them money and having that. We're not paying monetarily for the pain that we suffer week in and week out.
Right.
And that I feel so bad for the Cleveland fans that are in the city and who
Yeah,
are
there was
who
so
go to
much
those games.
hope and expectations that
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the chat, and evidently a couple of comments on the Ravens Patriots game. Evidently, the Patriots are not playing their best game, and
Vegas.
Ravens are winning the game at least early on. I don't know what the score is, but um, uh, Jackson is evidently doing a good job against them. And again, they're going to lose one game this year or two.
Why not the Ravens? Of course.
Why not the Raiders?
Why not the
Yeah.
Ravens? Why not the one team that really screws us? I mean, I think that's the amazing thing too. It's Murphy's Law for the Browns over and over, and that it just bothers me. I part of me sits there, and you start to go through the stages of grief. I don't know if I'm quite to acceptance yet. I definitely went through arguing or bargaining. I went through anger, denial, and now I think
Denial,
I'm
yeah,
probably
big.
to acceptance. I finally got there today and just realized that we're just not good.
Yeah, when this kid came out and played as well as he did against our defense, and we did not, and again, goes back to our earlier points, we did not put enough pressure on that kid so that he could not stand there, and then still get out of the pocket and run for a first down
Yep.
or throw a pass. You have to put the pressure on. And even if you can't get to him, you put your hands up so he can't see the lanes that he wants to throw the ball, and you protect the edges. He's not going to get through the line and go right up the middle and beat you for the most part, especially if you got so many guys coming at him. I just didn't see that from our defense. Maybe a couple of times, and we had some nice stops that got us back in the game. But when your offense is sputtering and not doing anything and getting field goals, your defense can only stop him so many times before the kid he gets lucky, and he gets lucky with the 41-yard run, so he didn't have to have several plays where he had to make plays
Yep.
and sit in the pocket, possibly get sacked, possibly throw an interception, of which he gave us one, and Myles Garrett dropped it. I laughed because, okay, well, he wouldn't have counted anyway because the stupid holding penalty would have nullified it anyway, which would have made me madder. But still, you got to put pressure on a guy like that. I mean, if you're putting pressure, you're trying to put pressure on a guy like Brady. Why wouldn't you put extra pressure on a rookie who's never started a game in his life in the NFL?
I tweeted, I'm like, why, Steve Wilkes, we're gonna put pressure on the quarterback, right? We're gonna blitz and blitz and blitz and dominate it, get in his mind like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts out there. We put next to no pressure on him. Myles Garrett, the second coming of sack Christ, didn't sack him.
Right.
I mean, you look at that and you go, how?
Was Vernon hurt at the end there when he hit?
Oh yeah, he might have got injured.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
And it was on a stupid play because he was already had the first down. He was already at the sideline, and he went after him to sort of, not hurt him, but punish him a little bit. Yeah. And what happens? He winds up getting hurt on an after the play meaningless type of thing, and he gets hurt. And I didn't see how he got off the field, so I don't know how much they had to help him, and whether that's going to impact playing next week or not. Yeah. But still,
well, I think at this point we have to start thinking about who's going to be the coach next year. Mm-hmm. I think the reality is we are to the point where we need to know, or we need to start looking. Dorsey better start getting his candidates in line. Personally, I would like to see I'd like to see a guy like Lincoln Riley be the coach, or I'd like to see. I mean, it was mentioned in the chat as well. A guy like Urban Meyer. I know people are going to crap all over me for this. But like, Urban Meyer's scheme doesn't work. If you're a winner and you know how to, I just want a guy who can win, who has success winning, who can manage the game, who's not going to take on more than he can chew.
Yeah. And some of the Belichick proteges, the guy who went from the Patriots to Miami. He's doing a horrible job for the most part. Now, granted, he's got not a lot of talent, but still, I just don't see a Belichick. He's trying to put his own scheme in, and
the only guy in New England who's probably worth it is Josh McDaniels, and because of what he did to Indianapolis, I don't think he's not getting another head coaching job anytime soon. I think he's just going to wait around. He's just going to wait around for Belichick to retire, and then I'm sure the only way they got him to stay was Kraft is like, if you stay, you got the job. You got the job. Like, that's it. You will have this team if you stay. And he was
maybe Dorsey has somebody in mind, and he's just, like you said, running out the clock with Kitchens, and if he's cut players, didn't he cut? Who's the guy they cut recently?
Who, the Browns?
Or trade? Yeah, they traded, and Dorsey went in to tell him in the locker room. He didn't have Freddie Kitchens do it. That told me a lot as well. It should have been the coach, not the general manager.
Oh, when we sat Greg Robinson. When he said I'm John Dorsey told me I'm
that was one of them, and I think it was one of the guys that was traded too. He told them that he was being traded and not the coach. But so I mean,
the coach doesn't. He's not the one who's trading the player. I mean, it is the GM who technically is trading the guy.
True. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. It seemed funny, but
I think that
it's coaching.
Coaching, we're gonna have a new coach next year. So the reality of it for 205 people, this is a new record for us. So I guess if we keep losing in epic fashion, we'll gain more and more people to watch. For the 205 people that are watching right now, we will have a new coach next year. We will most likely have new coordinators next year, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It doesn't. I think the only time you make a coaching change is when you go, you know what, it can't get much worse than this. And I think we're to the reality of I don't think it can get much worse than this. I really, Freddie, if you ever watched it, or any member of the Freddie Kitchens family, or any, I really wanted him to be successful more than any other coach that we've had since probably Butch Davis was the last guy that I was like, I believe in this guy.
I think, like I said last week, there's three phases. You're either going backwards because you haven't hit rock bottom, and that's Cincinnati. That was Miami up until today. That is the Jets. Or you're in neutral. At least you've stopped the bleeding, and you're not falling backwards. And you're pausing, trying to get ahead. You're staged to do that, or you're moving forward. You're making positive changes each week, and you're getting better. You're winning games. Today's game, I felt, was a step backwards. The first time I could say, other than the Titans game, which was, right out of the box, that was bad. The other ones, we're trying, we're learning, we're killing ourselves, we're shooting ourselves, the penalties, this, that, the other thing. But today was a win that never materialized from that first touchdown to the second touchdown to the 4 field goals to the last drive that could have won the game. It was a step backwards in a lot of the aspects of the game, the offense, the defense, Baker. So I'm disappointed in that. There's a lot you could probably learn from the tape, but if you don't learn and do something different the next week to get you back so that you've not only stopped the bleeding, but you've got that win. Until we get that win, and I hope it's against Buffalo, we're going to have one of my friends is going to be at the game. He's a Buffaloes fan. He teaches at Notre Dame. He's going to be in the area.
I'm sure he's going to have a great time then.
He's going to go to the game. I don't know if he's going to wear a Bills jersey or not, but we can certainly talk to him and have him on the pregame show, taking pictures and telling us about what's going on in the stadium there. Why he chose to go to that one, I don't know. Maybe somebody knows.
Maybe because he's like, well, there's a good chance we're going to win it.
Yeah, that too. Now that they won today, they beat Washington, fairly easily. I think it was like 24-7 or 24-13 or something. Yeah. They were winning the whole game. They did what they have to do. It's hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised as more than disappointed if the Browns finally turn it around and play a decent game next week.
I mean, so mathematically we're not eliminated. Mathematically, we could still go 10-6 with a miracle turnaround. Right. I was talking to a guy that I work with, and actually it was a client of ours who mentioned in a meeting, this is typically 8 games into the season, 7-8 games into the season, you're typically not going to have a complete 180 turnaround. Like, you kind of are who you are mid-season, and I've just come to the point where I've accepted the fact that we're just not good. We are going to have a top 10 pick most likely in the NFL draft next year. We have holes that we have to fill. We cannot afford to have a miss. We cannot afford to have an Austin Corbett miss on the offensive line. That will be what we take without a doubt. That's what we're taking.
Right.
And hopefully we're getting the top talent out there.
Or trade up and get even more talent, move up a couple of spots if we have somebody that Dorsey really wants.
I think Dorsey learned from this last year that trading a first-round pick is a very difficult decision. You are trading away, you're mortgaging your future for the now, and you can't miss on that.
Unless you can do it like the Patriots. I don't remember the last time the Patriots had a first-round pick. And if you do get a first-round pick, guess what? You're picking 32nd anyway. because you won the Super Bowl. So it's not like you're giving up the 1, 2, 3, or 5, best guys coming out of college. You had no shot at them anyway.
Yeah.
So they've traded their number 1 picks to get a little bit deeper into the round 4 or round 5, where they find some hidden talent, or they use it to
if you look at a guy like Jamie Collins, who was pedestrian at best for the Browns. He was lead-footed.
Right.
And then he goes back to New England for free and is having a Pro Bowl year. It's that's the difference, I think, between an experienced, very good defensive or just coaching in general. You can get the best coaches, and the best coaches that I ever had growing up were the coaches that inspired you and got the best out of you, no matter what it was. They had the right scheme. We believed in them. They had the right type of motivation, and they got the best out of their players. And I think that is what we're missing in Cleveland. And there's also, by the way, there's always that little bit of fear too. You always have to have a little bit of fear that goes in there, that you could lose your job in terms of like not if you're not performing, that kind of thing.
Right.
And you always have to have the self-awareness as a player that, hey, if I don't do well, I might not be here very long, or like in the military, you just don't want to let your brothers down. You don't want to let your teammates down. Right. I think that's what Baker's struggling with right now internally. I think he feels like he's letting the team down. He's putting too much of it on his own shoulders, and I think
that is the key position in the game. I mean, there's no question about it. You can't have a mediocre quarterback performance, not quarterback. I don't think he's mediocre by any means, but performance-wise, you can't have that and expect to win. And it was classic tonight. He couldn't beat a team that he should have beat. He should have made better throws. He maybe should have switched off plays, called more audibles or whatever, chose to do this or do that. And he wasn't able to accomplish that, and it does put pressure on the guy. He does start to feel it after a while. So it's tough on him, and I hope he bounces back. I think he's good. I have a lot of faith in him, but we need to win.
He's got the talent,
right?
He's got the talent. If you gave him time, and you had the other things go right. If you're asking a young quarterback, 2nd and 15, 3rd and 20, 3rd and 17. You're asking them to create miracles. Right? And then you have plays where, all right, it's 3rd and 17. You throw the ball to your multi-million-dollar wide receiver who muffs it. Okay? That's going to take the psyche away. I remember playing quarterback, JV quarterback in high school. And when you throw when you throw a pass that you expect a player, you hit the player in the hands and you can see open daylight, or you throw a bomb and it just falls through their hands. It's
very
demoralizing. It's demoralizing, and I'm sure Baker feels that way too.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta give a shout out to your sister. Jenny's in a bar in Ohio watching us on the Browns. Post game. So,
hey Jen.
Hi, sweetie.
Have fun up there in Ohio.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't deliver a win for you, but our Brownies are just stuck in a rut, and I thought today was the day that they were going to break out of it and start the momentum going the other way, and now we got to hope it's next week.
Well, let's do this. We have a lot of guys in chat. We have 225 concurrent. This is a new record for us. So thank you everybody for who's come to live in the pain with us here as Browns fans. So we're going to do a Homage t-shirt giveaway. Homage is a company that gives us a lot of free stuff. I'm also an affiliate with them, although we aren't trying to really make money off of this in any possible way. I just want to give them a lot of free publicity because they've given me a whole bunch of cool stuff, and they also give us a t-shirt to give away every week on the Brownie Postgame Show. So Jen, I told 2 people about the Brownie Postgame Show. Thanks, Jen. Jennifer Marshall, that's my sister. So one of the 200 plus people is my sister. So we get family showing up as well. So we have what we're gonna do is how we do it with 200 people. We'll do 1 out of 100. Okay, we'll do the same way. Just all you have to do in chat in order to win a free homage T-shirt, any T-shirt that's on their website, and they got a lot of cool stuff, Brown stuff, Ohio State stuff, other teams, just NBA Jam, WWE T-shirts, old WWF stuff, really cool stuff. So all you have to do after I type in, so post your number below 1 to 100, only post one time.
Right.
Go. Okay. So now all you have to do, type in a number 1 to 100, and I will select a number. I'm putting the number, I'm typing it in right now, so I'm not going to look at what people are posting. I'm typing in my number right now. What number should I go with? What's up? I don't know if I should use a number that's just like random or use a number that is. Okay, I typed my number in. It's in.
All right, the numbers are flowing in.
I told my entire stream about Brownie Postgame Show. Thank you, Fishing with Phil. It's just whoever gets closest to the number. It's not like closest to the number without going over. It's closest to the number, or if you get it. Most of the time, people have gotten the number. Usually, we do have people getting the number.
We've got so many people in there, it's hard to miss it, I guess.
Yeah. Let's take out the stream analytics right now. Chat rate to 3. Try to get the chat rate up. Start chatting.
They're all typing their numbers in.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I was hoping. I got the Ravens game. I got my buddy there at the game. I'm sure he's loving it. They got VIP passes to go on the field, so they were right next to Tom Brady during warm-ups.
Oh.
And he hasn't sent me any pictures yet, but I'll talk to him this week. And I think that's he'll probably go to a couple more games now that the Ravens are in control of the division. And if they beat the Patriots, that's a tremendous feather in their cap, and it bodes well for later on if they have to match up against them in the playoffs. They may not have home field advantage, but if they beat them, then they notch it up.
If the Ravens beat the Patriots, they're for real, and I could almost like chalk it up to a fluke that we beat them at this point.
Right.
The any given Sunday type thing. But okay, no more numbers. I think we've given people plenty of time. I'm gonna hit enter here now. So anyone after this, I'm sorry. I'm not taking any more numbers. Putting in my number right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Bing. The number was 95. Let's see who came closest. San Juan Creole had a 99, so he was within 4. Anybody else?
No, everybody's in the mids.
He's the only guy. I think San Juan Creole is the winner, I believe. Mark Ross was close with an 85. He was 10 off. And
yep, I think he's the winner.
That's it. San Juan Creole. Let me make sure I put him in there.
Good job.
I
wish we could have given away our treasure trove of giveaways with a win.
Yeah.
But we'll have to save that for the Buffalo game, and we're hopefully we'll get our chats up to 300 or 400 because we got a win to talk about, and we got some momentum, and we got some nice plays to talk about, and we'll give away stuff, and look forward to. Who do we have after Buffalo, Mike? Do you remember?
We have Pittsburgh.
Cardinals?
We have Pittsburgh Thursday night at home.
Wow.
Then we have the Dolphins. Then we have Pittsburgh again. Then we've got Bengals, Cardinals, Ravens at home, Bengals away to end.
Yeah,
most likely will be a very miserable rest of the season.
Yeah, we can't. If you can't win a game, you can't really look forward to the next one. I mean, you're trying to stop the bleeding. That's the worst condition to be in, whether it's playing poker and you're throwing your chips away and you can't stop the bleeding, or whether it's a football game and you keep making mistakes and throwing away games, or a baseball game. It's just you got to stop the bleeding to the point where you're healthy enough to make a difference, one or two or three games in a row. If we could only get on a winning streak of 2 games, I think we could run the table. But if you can't beat a team like Denver with a new quarterback out of the box, who's never taken a snap, who's got less than a week to prepare, and he comes out and he plays the game of his life, um, yeah, he may be the quarterback of the future. Leave Flacco in the on the bench in the IR. This if this kid's for real, maybe Denver's found their answer. Who knows? But I every time I see one of these miracle performances by somebody off the bench, who's never played before, the next week they come back, and I don't know who Denver plays next week. Um, but I sort of guarantee he will not play as well as he played tonight.
Broncos play the Vikings next week.
Vikings, yeah, I think he will have a
At the Vikings.
Brought down to NFL, welcome to the NFL type of level game where he throws 3 picks and he fumbles the ball twice and they pressure him. I just that's my prediction for him against Minnesota, who lost today. Who I thought, I had him in my pick'em league, but Minnesota
lost.
lost.
Points, I thought.
Kansas City, I think they lost to, and by either an overtime or a last-minute field goal. They had a chance to beat Kansas City, and I forget who's the backup in Kansas City who's filling in for. He must have done well. And Cousins, I looked at his stats. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like he threw 3 picks or anything. But Kansas City found a way to win without Mahomes, and that keeps them, obviously playoff in good stead. And maybe Holmes comes back next week. Maybe he sits out another week. Who knows? But Randall played well for the Pittsburgh Steelers and did enough to win the game and not look bad and not throw picks. And so he's not going to be a pushover when we play them. And if Thursday nights, it's home for us first home and then away. Mike,
what's that?
The Thursday night game, is that a home game for us?
It's a home game.
Yeah,
it's our last prime time game of the season.
Yeah,
we are 1 for 3 so far in prime time.
There'll be a lot of hype for that game, and I just hope we don't embarrass ourselves with a terrible loss.
If we beat, if I'm gonna go glass half full again, if we beat Buffalo and run the table. Mm-hmm. We're 10-6 and looking straight at the playoffs, baby. But the reality of that is probably much of a long shot as it is a pipe dream.
Yeah, 90-10 against that. That's for sure. But
I'm looking at some
because we can't get that first win under our belt other than the Baltimore game. You can't win 2 in a row until you get that first one, and we just don't seem to be able to do that. And this, in my opinion, like I said before, I think this is a step backwards for just about everybody, the organization, and
I think if you think from top to bottom, you have to look at it like this. Jimmy Haslam hires John Dorsey. John Dorsey brings in tons of talent. John Dorsey then hires Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens then is in charge of coaching and creating game plans, coaching the players, and calling plays. It is failure at every level, really. Although it's hard, it's really hard to blame John Dorsey. I mean, on paper, he put together what everybody was thinking was the freaking Avengers of talent. They Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler in every different position, and
we got another one coming. Next week that Dorsey manufactured.
Yeah.
And he had to sit him out 8 games. Who in their right mind would not say, okay, let's sit this guy out for 8 games and have him, in the prime of the season if we need him.
Fresh legs.
Yeah,
Who
fresh
knows
legs.
if Chubb, God forbid, knock on wood, gets hurt, we have a guy who can run the ball. But so let's think about, and we probably should end it. We've been at it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think that if you're looking at next year, guys, we're looking at a new coach. That's the reality of it, what it is, because I think the fans will revolt. It will be like the French Revolution, where they're going to try and bring out the guillotines if Freddie is going to be the coach next year, unless he rattles off a miracle rest of the season, which is not very likely as it looks at this point. So we're going to have a new coach. We're also going to have probably a very good shot at the top talent offensive line in the draft, which is good, right? So we're not, and we have a whole off season to go after some real offense, not stopgap guys who got cut from other teams and throwing flyers at guys. Real offensive line talent that we can go and pay for. We can buy it. Okay, so we're going to draft it. We're going to buy it. We're going to have a new coach, and we're still going to have a significant amount of young talent.
Sure.
And we still have guys, and no matter what, Odell does and stuff like that, it doesn't matter, still under contract. Unless somebody's going to give us, a ton for him, we're not getting rid of him. So Odell, zip it, catch the ball, and get paid. Right? And wear shoes that comply with NFL standards. Okay, so we have a lot. We do have a lot to look forward to.
Or visors that that comply.
Or whatever. But we do honestly. As much as this one hurt, as much as it was a disappointment, and it kind of ended what was the most highly anticipated season since probably 2007. It was so good, and it makes me long for Romeo Crennel at this point. So guys, thank you everybody for watching. 200 plus people.
Guys.
This is a record for us. So definitely subscribe to the channel.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, tune in next week, guys. Congratulations to our winner, San Juan. What was the guy's name again? San Juan Creole. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Send me to browniepostgame@gmail.com so we can get you your t-shirt. And yeah, I don't know. Go Browns? Question mark at the end.
Yeah, save that plastic bag for next week, Mike. All right.
I got it right here. I got the bag. I'm gonna go out and invest in an actual brown. We gotta do the paper bag.
A brown paper bag.
We gotta do the paper bag next week if we lose to the Bills.
Like the guys in the Saints, they were wearing those paper bags. That was horrible. So. All right, Mike. Take care.
Bye. Go Browns? Question mark at the end.
Bye, Jen.